Best of r/entitled parents episode 164. Subscribe for Reddit videos daily. Hey people of Reddit, with me being at home due to quarantine, I thought of this story from my childhood. This happened in 2006, so it was several years ago. Background: I lived in a small town around 3,000 people. For the most part everyone got along with each other except for this awful family we'll call the Wyatts. The Wyatts were a family of 4. The entitled mom and dad, entitled boy who was around 9, and entitled teen who was 14. The dad was nice though, but he always looked like he hated his family, so we'll call him Nice Dad. So, the former mayor of our town had died. This struck the community hard as he was a very kind old man and was very active in the community. In my town there are some things that you don't skip, such as funerals, so everyone going to pay their respects was almost expected. The funeral service had large turnout. It looked like most of the town came. Everyone was wearing black and had proper clothes on except our entitled mom and teen. The mom wore a blue dress that's more suited for clubbing than a funeral. Entitled teen was wearing a black belly shirt and shorts that ride on up your butt like Daisy Duke shorts. The entitled boy was playing his Game Boy at the funeral, and to top it all they came late. About a half hour in. I remember thing we're going good. The entitled teen, she said with excitement. E.T. Mom, Blake just texted me if I want to come over. See, I told you he liked you. They were talking about boys and other things for a while. Everyone was looking at them. People were shushing them to make it obvious that they were being rude. When the reverend came and delivered the opening prayer they became quiet. When the mayor's widow gave the eulogy, entitled teen was still on her phone texting. The entitled boy later said, "EB, Mom, this is boring. When can we go? When can we go?" At that moment everyone just turned to them and gave them the stink eye. When people turned back, people in the back of her were still looking at her funny. When the viewing ended everyone started to walk to the cemetery and the mayor was carried by the sheriff's deputies. The lady at the back is still giving her the stink eye. The following proceeds. You got a problem, lady? Yeah, you are being very rude. My godfather deserves more respect than this. If you were going to be rude, why did you come? Whatever. Entitled mom then bumps into the lady on purpose and leaves to walk with the others to the cemetery. The casket was put in the ground and people were putting a white flower on the casket in the ground to pay respects. But at this time the kid's Game Boy dies. He screamed, "EB, Mom, my Game Boy died, need batteries. Jimmy, batteries." The mom looked in her purse and had none. The kid started bawling and started jumping up and down while waving his arms. But he accidentally let go of the Game Boy and it fell in the grave. Everyone just gasped and in disbelief. The entitled boy said, "EB, Daddy, go get IT. The mayor's widow asks her to get your son under control or go somewhere that isn't here." No, not until I get my son's game. The widow, who was now crying, said, "They would have to take my husband out of the ground to get it, so it's not happening." Her son starts throwing a tantrum. Look at what you did, you child hater. Entitled mom the petty jabs the mayor's widow and she steps back. People weren't having it and rushed over to her. The widow's son asked entitled mom to get her children and leave. She said she wouldn't. The sheriff, they said you can leave of your own free will or in cop car. So they left, but the dad stayed. What I think is messed up, but also funny, is the kid's Game Boy and the former mayor are going to spend the rest of eternity with each other. Thanks for reading, everyone. Thank you. Next. I'm not sure if this story fits exactly on this sub, but if not, please direct me to the correct one for it. Smiling face with squinting eyes. Background: I am currently 21, but I've always had a baby face that makes me look younger than I am. I am often thought to be 15 or 16 and people treat me like a child until I call them out on it. It can be convenient at times, as up until 2 years if I went to the cinema and just asked for a ticket, age unspecific, they'd just automatically give me a child ticket. Characters: me, myself, entitled mom. So I was 16 at the time but looked around 9-10 and was waiting in line at the cinema to get a ticket. I forget what movie, as it was a long time ago. Directly in front of me was a family of 3. At the time you could get a discount if you had 2 adults and 2 kids by buying a family ticket, which was less than buying 3 separate tickets. There were a few people in front of us. and I'd noticed the two parents staring at me and whispering to each other. I wear a lot of anime tops, so I'm fairly used to that behavior, so I mostly ignored it. The family get to the counter and EM very loudly stated that they want a family ticket to a U-rated movie. Movie I was going to see was 12s or 15s. The cashier OFC tells her you have to have 2 kids for that, at which EM turns around, points at me, and says she's with us. I naturally look at her like she's got 2 heads and say no I'm not. M puts on that real condescending, smoozy tone adults use with bold children and says honey, don't act up in public. Just come here, while her family cross their arms and stare at me like I just shit in their porridge. I glared at her and walked over to the second cashier and said 1 adult ticket for movie name, and showed them my passport for it. The cashier of course charges me and gives me my ticket. M starts sputtering and giving out to the worker for allowing children to buy tickets to those types of movies. Both cashiers just barely hid rolling their eyes as the one in front of her asked her what tickets she wanted. I trotted off to the necessary screen and left them at the counter to deal with it by themselves. P.S. Yes, I purposely stated adult at a higher volume while looking her in the eye just cause I could. Also adult tickets start from age 12 in Ireland. Thank you. Next. So I have these entitled neighbors who are the exact definition of a-holes. The story happened about a year or 2 ago. One day neighbors of mine who live next door to the entitled family had their dog out and it was barking and the entitled family was really bothered by this, so they called the cops. I honestly feel bad for the police officer. The police officer tells the entitled family that they are doing nothing wrong. Now you may think that this was the end of the story, right? Well, they called the cops a few more times for the same reason. They hated my neighbors for some reason and nobody on my street even talks to the entitled family because all of us have a mutual hate for the family. Well, about a month after the first call, my neighbors have had enough of this and they put a for sale sign on their front lawn. They moved out a few weeks later. A new family has moved in and the entitled family has caused zero trouble with this family. The entitled family has a dog that barks and this makes them look like massive hypocrites. I think they wanted to stir up drama but now we hate them even more. I hope that the same fate does not happen to the new family as they are nice people and the family that moved were also nice people. Thank you. Next. So I am 14 and my stepmom, SM, is such a Karen and I hate it. One day I hear her arguing with my dad about stupid shit and telling him that she will take the kids even though he didn't do anything wrong. Usually the fights are over stuff like how she didn't get her way or something. She said she will lie to the judge just so she can have her racy house Barbies. My 2 full siblings and I do not count as this. She likes her kids and her kids only. Only my step siblings. She only buys food for them, not us. My grandma helps with that. She is more of a mother than her to all of us anyway. Another time is when she was working and got mad at someone and just left. The other person there thought she quit. I would too. You don't just walk off on a job. SM shows up at work the next day and then gets questioned. Of course she talks to the manager. She gets her way and the guy gets yelled at for nothing. Poor guy. Another time was very recent. SM is pregnant and has hard time breathing because of it. She was going into a store and one of the security guys stops her because her mask isn't covering her nose. She freaks out and yells at him. SM, I am pregnant and I have a hard enough time breathing already. If you don't want a pregnant lady passed out on your floor, I suggest you let me in like this. The guy lets her in because I'm pretty sure he didn't want to deal with that. SM will stop for nothing to get her way. A long time ago she punched my uncle's girlfriend in the face because she stole clothes from me. I mean I wanted them back but she didn't need to punch her in the face. She got arrested and a couple hours later she is back home again. Must have baby talked the cops until they couldn't stand her anymore. Anyway, that's all of the main things so far. IDK if I am forgetting anything, but oh well. Thank you. Next. This isn't as entitled as some of the other posts, but I wanted to share it. Also, mobile blah blah blah. Backstory. The build up to this started quite a long time ago. In 2014, just after I left elementary school, my parents made a huge decision. Before, my siblings and I all had an allowance equal to half of our age. Suddenly, my parents, mostly my mom, decided we didn't need Alliance anymore because it was too much of a financial burden. Being 11, I didn't care much, but it had a big effect later. The story. So, I went through my early teens getting only birthday money, most of which was forced into a savings account. Now, don't get me wrong, I think it was a great idea to put money in a savings account, but I wasn't allowed to access it at all, not for anything. This upset me some, but again, I didn't really care. Come summer of 2019, my parents start wanting me to take a part-time job. I look hard for jobs and take my chances, but I had no experience, and my mom only helped me by giving me a list of ideas to sign up for. Upset with my progress, I found a job site that had a huge list of part-time jobs, so I signed up. About a week later, my mom discovered emails that I had been getting from the job site suggesting part-time jobs. She flipped out saying I was doing this wrong and forced me to drop jobs entirely. Side note, earlier that year, a friend of mine, let's call him Jim, introduced me to a card game called Magic. Anyone who knows what this is knows it can get expensive, but so far, I've managed to survive off of gifts. Back to the story. Around January of 2020, Jim invited me to a Magic release, where they officially released new cards, gave everyone 6 packs of new cards, and then held a tournament. Unfortunately, I would have to pay the $30 entrance fee, which I had $10 of. I pleaded with my mom to lend me some money or even let me use the money given to Emmy from my savings account. Obviously, she denied, saying I shouldn't be wasting my money just to play a stupid card game. Even worse, she said that maybe she'd let me go if I had gotten a job and actually earned some money. Fine, then I'll just ignore my friend's request to hang out, even though she complains about me not hanging out with friends enough. Also, all the money she saved from not giving allowance, it went to a new phone for her every year. Thanks, Mom. Thank you. Next. I ordered some pasta and mozzarella sticks from a local pizza joint for lunch today. I used their Google checkout to order and pay and put my info into the pickup notes. My phone bings. My food is done, so I scoot a mile down the road to the pizza place to pick it up. I pull up behind a minivan and call the number. Get put on hold while she talks to the EM in front of me. I can hear the whole conversation because she is using her car speakers turned up to max, and she's screaming into the steering wheel. EM, I'm here to pick up an order. Pizza girl, what was the name on it? EM, Helen. PG, I'm not seeing an order for Helen. Did you place it online or call in? EM, I didn't place IT yet. PG, sorry about that. I misunderstood you. What can I get you? EM, this is why you work at a pizza dive hun. Rattles off a long ass list of stuff, including 3 pizzas. PG, no problem, we'll get that ready for you. It will be about 30 minutes. EM, you can't go any faster, my kids are hungry. PG, this is the lunch rush. I'll put a flyer in your bag. It has the store number and next time you can call ahead so we have it ready for you. EM, Ugh, hangs up. Pizza girl immediately picks up my line. I give her my name and she brings out my bag. It's a small paper bag and obviously doesn't contain 3 large pizza boxes. As soon as she steps out the door, EM starts screaming at her. EM, is that my food? Why are you giving her my food? PG, this is her order, she called ahead. EM, I was here first and I already told you my kids are fucking hungry. PG, she ordered ahead. Your order is being prepared. Please be patient. EM, Agusuuuuuk starts yelling at her kids to shut the fuck up. At this point, I'm ready to give this girl a fucking medal cause I was barely hanging on to my temper. Instead, I thanked her profusely for my food, told her she was doing an amazing job, and tipped her $20 on her $8 order. Not sure how it went down with EM after that, but I hope wherever you are, you're having a better day now, pizza girl. Edited to fix the dialogue. Thank you. Next. Bit of context. My nice neighbor, NN, is a retired mechanic with a charity where he and a few of his ex-colleagues create gadgets such as electric wheelchairs or other items to help disabled people do everyday things, including to play sports such as basketball or football. Actual football where you use feet. IDK the name of the charity, but it is a good place for excess change to go time to time. PS this was last year before lockdown started. Okay, onto the story. So one day me and my dad were in our front garden playing some cricket when we heard a car pull up outside our house. We were confused because we weren't expecting visitors, but they were visiting our NN. A child, around 10 or 11, came out the car in a wheelchair and met with our NN who gave him a wheelchair which helped him with schoolwork etc. It was around then that our NN brought out a football and showed the disabled kid, DK from now on, how to use the chair to play sports. On the other side of the street were an entitled parent, EP, and her around 6-year-old boy, who looked confused more than anything. I'll call him CK. So EP comes up to NN house and says, "Hi, can my son have a go on that thing?" NN replies, "Sorry miss, but this child is very disabled and this chair was built by me to help him with everyday thing, but he was playing football yeah. So that looks fun, I'd like my son to try." The CK waddled over to the chair when NN stepped in to stop the kid by putting his hand in front of him. As I was listening and watching, I knew what was going to happen. "How dare you? That's my son, you can't tell him what to do. You should let him on that machine. The kid doesn't need it." We were all shocked by this and DK even started crying. I didn't blame him. My dad stepped in and said, "What do you mean? This boy is clearly very ill and doesn't need this. How dare you speak to someone, let alone a disabled kid like that?" I felt proud of my dad then as the EP was speechless. I'm not sure whether she truly believed that she was right, or realized the gravity of what she did, but she stormed off with CK, who really had no clue what was going on, without an apology. After that, I felt sorry for DK, so I played some football with him, and later on in my bike, I saw EP outside someone's house, complaining about the event like she was the victim. I was absolutely disgusted.